Have you ever wondered why some civilizations flourished for thousands of years while others vanished almost overnight, leaving behind only mysterious ruins and unanswered questions? Today we're diving deep into the fascinating world of ancient civilizations, exploring the incredible achievements, shocking mysteries, and timeless lessons from humanity's earliest societies. When we talk about ancient civilizations, we're discussing complex societies that emerged after humans transitioned from nomadic hunter-gatherer lifestyles to settled agricultural communities. This shift, known as the Neolithic Revolution, happened around 10,000 years ago in different parts of the world. But what exactly makes a civilization? Historians generally agree that civilizations share certain characteristics: organized government, social hierarchy, complex religions, job specialization, public works like temples and irrigation systems, writing systems, and impressive architecture. The development of agriculture was revolutionary because it allowed humans to produce food surpluses, which meant not everyone needed to spend their days hunting or gathering. This freed people to become artisans, priests, soldiers, administrators, and scholars, creating the diverse societies we recognize as civilizations. Let's start our journey in Mesopotamia, often called the cradle of civilization. Located between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers in modern-day Iraq, this region saw the rise of the Sumerians around 3,500 years before the Common Era. The Sumerians gave us an incredible gift that we still use every single day: writing. Their cuneiform script, pressed into clay tablets with wedge-shaped reeds, wasn't just for record-keeping. These ancient people wrote everything from shopping lists to epic poems like the Tale of Gilgamesh, one of humanity's oldest surviving stories. The Epic of Gilgamesh explores timeless themes of friendship, mortality, and the search for meaning, showing us that ancient people grappled with the same existential questions we face today. The Sumerians also invented the wheel, developed the earliest known form of mathematics based on the number 60, which is why we still have 60 seconds in a minute and 60 minutes in an hour. They created the first schools, called tablet houses, where young scribes learned the complex art of writing. They brewed beer, which was such an important part of their culture that workers were often paid in beer rations. They built massive ziggurats, stepped pyramid temples that dominated city skylines, and served as both religious centers and administrative hubs. The city of one of the greatest Sumerian cities, may have housed up to 65,000 people at its peak, making it one of the world's first true urban centers. But the Sumerians weren't the only innovators in Mesopotamia. This fertile region saw empire after empire rise and fall, each contributing to human civilization. The Akkadians conquered the Sumerian city-states and created one of history's first multi-ethnic empires under Sargon the Great, around 2,300 years before the Common Era. Sargon's empire stretched from the Persian Gulf to the Mediterranean Sea, and his administrative innovations, including the use of a standardized language for government business, influenced empire building for centuries to come. Then came the Babylonians, whose king Hammurabi created one of the world's first written legal codes around 1,700 years before the Common Era. The Code of Hammurabi wasn't perfect by modern standards, employing harsh punishments and recognizing social class distinctions in sentencing. However, it established the revolutionary idea that laws should be written down and publicly displayed so everyone could know them. The code covered everything from trade disputes and property rights to family law and medical malpractice. Its famous principle of proportional justice, often summarized as an eye for an eye, was actually progressive for its time, limiting revenge and establishing that punishments should fit crimes, rather than escalating into endless blood feuds. The Assyrians later built an empire known for its military prowess and administrative efficiency. They pioneered iron weapons and chariot warfare, created one of the ancient world's first professional standing armies, and developed a sophisticated network of roads and communication systems that allowed them to control a vast territory. The Assyrian capital of Nineveh housed a magnificent library assembled by King Ashurbanipal, containing thousands of clay tablets covering every subject from astronomy to medicine. While Mesopotamia was flourishing, another remarkable civilization was developing along the Nile River in Egypt. Ancient Egypt's history spans an astonishing 3,000 years of continuous civilization. Think about that for a moment. Cleopatra, who lived closer to our time, was actually closer in time to the building of the iPhone than she was to the construction of the Great Pyramid of Giza. The pyramids themselves represent an engineering marvel that still puzzles researchers today. How did ancient Egyptians, without modern machinery, transport and precisely place massive limestone blocks weighing several tons each? Recent research suggests they used copper tools, wooden sledges, ramps, and clever applications of physics, along with an enormous organized labor force that may have numbered tens of thousands of workers during peak construction periods. The ancient Egyptians were masters of organization and bureaucracy. Their success depended on the predictable flooding of the Nile, which deposited rich soil perfect for agriculture. They developed sophisticated irrigation systems, including canals, dikes, and basins that captured and distributed floodwaters. They created a calendar based on the flood cycle with 365 days, remarkably close to the actual solar year. They developed a complex writing system called hieroglyphics that combined phonetic and symbolic elements, using it for religious texts, administrative records, and personal communications. Egyptian society was highly stratified, with the pharaoh at the top, considered a living god who maintained Ma'at, the cosmic order and balance that kept chaos at bay. Egyptian religion fascinates us because of its elaborate beliefs about the afterlife and the stunning monuments these beliefs inspired. They believed that preserving the body through mummification allowed the soul to continue its journey after death. The mummification process was incredibly complex, taking 70 days and involving the removal of internal organs, treatment with natron salts, and careful wrapping in linen bandages. This belief led to the construction of elaborate tombs filled with everything the deceased might need in the afterlife, from furniture and clothing to food and wine, and even servant figures called shaptis that would magically come to life to serve the deceased in the next world. The discovery of King Tutankhamun's nearly intact tomb in 1922 by Howard Carter gave us an unprecedented glimpse into this ancient world, revealing treasures of staggering beauty and craftsmanship. Now let's shift our focus eastward to the Indus Valley Civilization, one of history's most mysterious advanced societies. Flourishing from approximately 3,300 to 1,300 years before the Common Era in what's now Pakistan and northwest India, the Indus Valley people built remarkably planned cities like Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro. These weren't random collections of buildings but carefully designed urban centers with grid-patterned streets oriented to catch cooling breezes, sophisticated drainage systems that would impress modern engineers, standardized brick sizes suggesting centralized planning, and multi-story buildings with private wells and bathrooms. The level of urban planning suggests a powerful organizing authority, yet we find no evidence of palaces or temples dominating the cities as in other ancient civilizations. What's truly puzzling about the Indus Valley civilization is how little we understand despite extensive archaeological evidence. They developed a writing system that remains undeciphered to this day, with hundreds of symbols appearing on seals and pottery but no Rosetta Stone to unlock their meaning. Unlike Egypt or Mesopotamia with their grand temples and palaces, Indus Valley cities show a possibly more egalitarian society with relatively uniform housing and few obvious status symbols. They traded extensively with Mesopotamia, as evidenced by Indus seals found in Mesopotamian sites, but we still don't know what language they spoke or what their political system looked like. The civilization mysteriously declined around 1900 years before the Common Era, and scholars still debate whether climate change, shifting rivers that disrupted agriculture and trade, disease, or other factors caused their disappearance. Meanwhile, in China, civilization was developing along the Yellow River. The earliest Chinese dynasties, like the semi-legendary Xia and the archaeological confirmed Shang, emerged around 2,000 years before the Common Era. The Shang dynasty left us oracle bones, turtle shells, and animal bones, inscribed with early Chinese characters used for divination. Priests would carve questions onto bones, apply heat to create cracks, and interpret the patterns as answers from ancestors and gods. These oracle bones represent the earliest known Chinese writing and provide invaluable insights into Shang religious beliefs, political concerns, and daily life. Questions ranged from whether to launch military campaigns to whether the king's toothache would improve. Chinese civilization developed remarkable continuity over millennia. Unlike other ancient civilizations that disappeared or were completely transformed by conquest, Chinese culture maintained threads of connection from ancient times through to the present day. The concept of the mandate of heaven, developed during the Zhou dynasty that succeeded the Shang, provided a philosophical framework for political legitimacy that influenced Chinese politics for thousands of years. This idea held that heaven granted emperors the right to rule based on their virtue, but this mandate could be revoked if rulers became corrupt or tyrannical, justifying rebellion against unjust rulers while maintaining the overall system. Crossing to the Americas, we encounter civilizations that developed completely independently from those in Africa, Europe, and Asia, yet created comparably sophisticated societies. The Olmecs, emerging around 1200 years before the Common Era in what's now Mexico, are often called Mesoamerica's mother culture because they influenced all later civilizations in the region. They created massive stone head sculptures weighing up to 50 tons, transported from quarries dozens of miles away without wheeled vehicles or beasts of burden. They developed early forms of writing and calendar systems that later Mesoamerican civilizations would build upon, and possibly invented the Mesoamerican ball game that would become central to later Maya and Aztec cultures. The Maya civilization, flourishing from around 2,000 years before the Common Era until the Spanish conquest, achieved extraordinary sophistication in mathematics, astronomy, and architecture. They developed the concept of zero independently from the Old World, a mathematical breakthrough that only a handful of ancient cultures achieved. They created incredibly accurate astronomical observations without telescopes, predicting eclipses and tracking Venus's movements with remarkable precision. They built towering pyramids and elaborate cities deep in the rainforest, creating an urban civilization in an environment that seems inhospitable to dense human settlement. The Maya writing system, a complex combination of phonetic and symbolic glyphs, recorded their history, mythology, and astronomical knowledge on stone monuments called stelae and bark paper books called codices. One of the most intriguing aspects of Maya civilization is their sudden decline during the 8th and 9th centuries of the Common Era. Major Maya cities in the southern lowlands were mysteriously abandoned, with populations dropping dramatically. Stone monuments stopped being erected, construction projects were left incomplete, and the jungle gradually reclaimed elaborate cities. Recent research suggests a combination of factors including prolonged drought revealed through analysis of lake sediments, warfare between competing city-states, political instability, and environmental degradation from deforestation may have contributed to what archaeologists call the classic Maya collapse. This reminds us that even sophisticated civilizations remain vulnerable to environmental and social challenges. The Inca Empire in South America, though relatively short-lived, lasting only about a century before Spanish conquest, created the largest empire in pre-Columbian America. From their capital at Cusco in modern Peru, the Incas controlled a vast territory stretching along the Andes Mountains from modern Ecuador to Chile. Without a writing system as we understand it, they used quipus, collections of colored knotted strings, to record information and keep accounts. The Quipu system was sophisticated enough to track detailed census information, tax obligations, and historical events, though scholars are still working to fully understand how they encoded information. Their engineering achievements were phenomenal, including an extensive road network spanning thousands of miles through difficult mountain terrain, impressive suspension bridges woven from grass that spanned gorges, and architectural marvels like Machu Picchu built with such precision that even today you can't slip a knife blade between the stones. Back in the Mediterranean, ancient Greece emerged not as a unified empire but as a collection of independent city-states, each with its own government and culture. Athens and Sparta represented two radically different approaches to civilization. Athens emphasized democracy, though one limited to free adult male citizens, education, philosophy, and the arts. Sparta focused on military discipline, physical training from childhood, and a rigid social system maintained by a large enslaved population called Helots. The tensions between these different visions of Greek life and competition for dominance culminated in the devastating Peloponnesian War that weakened both sides. Greece's contributions to Western civilization are almost impossible to overstate. Greek philosophers like Socrates, who questioned everything, Plato, who imagined ideal societies, and Aristotle, who categorized knowledge across dozens of fields, laid foundations for Western philosophy that we still study today. Greek mathematicians like Pythagoras and Euclid made discoveries we learn in school. Greek playwrights like Sophocles and Euripides created dramatic works still performed worldwide. The Greeks even gave us the Olympics, originally religious festivals held every 4 years at Olympia in honor of Zeus, where athletes from across the Greek world competed in running, wrestling, chariot racing, and other events. Alexander the Great's conquests spread Greek culture across a vast empire stretching from Greece to India, creating what historians call the Hellenistic period. This era saw Greek ideas mixing with Egyptian, Persian, and Asian cultures, producing remarkable innovations in science, philosophy, and art. The Library of Alexandria in Egypt, founded during this period, became the ancient world's greatest center of learning, housing hundreds of thousands of scrolls before its tragic destruction. Hellenistic scientists like Eratosthenes calculated Earth's circumference with surprising accuracy, while Archimedes made breakthroughs in mathematics and physics. Rome began as a small settlement in central Italy, but grew into an empire that controlled the entire Mediterranean world and much of Europe. Roman civilization excelled at practical achievements: engineering, law, and administration. Roman roads, built so well that some remain in use today, connected the empire and facilitated trade and military movement. Roman aqueducts brought fresh water to cities from distant sources using gravity and precise engineering. Roman buildings like the Pantheon, with its massive unreinforced concrete dome, still stand today, testament to their engineering skill. Roman law, codified and systematized over centuries, forms the basis for legal systems across Europe and beyond. Latin, the Roman language, evolved into French, Spanish, Italian, Portuguese, and Romanian, while influencing countless other languages, including English. The Roman Republic's transformation into an empire under Augustus marked a turning point in ancient history. The Pax Romana, a period of relative peace lasting about 2 centuries, allowed trade, culture, and ideas to flourish across the empire. However, maintaining such a vast empire proved increasingly difficult. Economic problems including inflation and taxation that burdened provinces, political instability, military pressures from Germanic tribes and Persians, and later division into Eastern and Western empires eventually led to Rome's decline. What can we learn from these ancient civilizations? First, innovation and adaptability are crucial for success. Civilizations that could adapt to changing circumstances, whether climate shifts or new threats, tended to survive longer. Second, overextension and environmental degradation repeatedly contributed to collapse. Many civilizations pushed their environments beyond sustainable limits, depleting soils, deforesting landscapes, or exhausting water resources. Third, social cohesion and effective governance matter enormously. Civilizations with mechanisms for managing internal conflicts and maintaining legitimacy weathered challenges better than those torn by internal strife. Perhaps most importantly, these ancient peoples remind us that human creativity, ambition, and ingenuity have always driven progress. Without computers, electricity, or modern tools, ancient engineers built structures that still amaze us. Without modern science, ancient astronomers mapped the heavens with stunning accuracy. Without global communication networks, ancient philosophers asked profound questions about existence, ethics, and knowledge that remain relevant today. The legacy of ancient civilizations surrounds us. Every time we use money, we're using a Lydian invention. When we read, we're benefiting from systems developed in Mesopotamia and Egypt. Our democracies trace lineage to Athens. Our legal concepts connect to Rome. Our mathematics includes Babylonian sexagesimal systems and Maya concepts of zero. These weren't primitive peoples stumbling toward progress. They were sophisticated societies solving complex problems with remarkable creativity. As we face modern challenges like climate change, political polarization, and resource scarcity, studying ancient civilizations isn't just academic exercise. Their successes and failures offer valuable lessons. They remind us that civilizations aren't inevitable or permanent. They must be actively maintained, adapted, and sometimes reimagined for new circumstances. They show us that diverse approaches to organizing society can work, but also that certain mistakes repeatedly lead to decline. The study of ancient civilizations continues evolving as new technologies reveal secrets buried for millennia. Satellite imagery discovers hidden cities beneath jungles and deserts. DNA analysis reveals migration patterns and relationships between ancient peoples. Advanced dating techniques provide more accurate timelines. Translation of previously unreadable scripts opens new windows into ancient minds. Each discovery adds pieces to the vast puzzle of human history, reminding us how much we still have to learn about our shared past and how these ancient achievements continue shaping our present and future.